Hello, I'm Trace.
And I'm Sam.
And we're two wild and crazy guys. And this is From Our Perspective. I feel like... Welcome to From Our Perspective, episode 34, whatever. I feel like when I do a crazy introduction like that, I have to immediately, drop the level, go from 100 to 55ish, so I don't start way too energized, and then it just is downhill from there. I do that great impression.
Wild and crazy guys.
And this is from
episode 34.
And this is from our perspective.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I mean, I don't know if you have to do that, but that's something you can do.
It's the way I feel that I have to conduct the introductions. Even though I probably am contradicting myself, there's another episode where I just keep the energy going.
I think we did it not too long ago, actually.
Yeah, it's whatever. I don't remember. This is the 34th episode. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that insane?
It's pretty kooky. I don't think it's really usually a milestone for people. I hit 34.
Yeah, well, my podcast got 34 episodes. No, I just think it's always fun to... I don't know if it's fun for everyone, but I like to
fun for the whole family.
It's fun for the whole family to remember how many episodes of this stupid podcast we make. Why do we always berate this podcast?
Because we hate ourselves.
I feel like the self-deprecate, because we both have very self-deprecatory. Is that a word?
I don't know.
I don't think so. We both have self-deprecatory senses of humor.
Self-deprecatory.
We both have self-deprecating senses of humor, so I feel like that bleeds into this.
Yeah, it does, and
but here's the thing:
it's not the best idea to label your show as a stupid podcast.
This stupid fucking podcast that everyone loves. I think that it bleeds into the audience. They're like, "Yeah, this is just dumb.
Yeah, I hate this.
I hate this.
Don't think that it's.
This is a great podcast. Here's the thing: I would much rather be self-deprecatory.
Hold on.
Then I would much rather be humble and basically shit on everything I make than brag about it. Oh, are you looking up?
I don't even know how to spell what you're saying.
Deprecatory? Come on, it's common knowledge, Sam. You idiot. Deprecatory. Google doesn't even know.
That is a word.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
Adjective.
I'm not an idiot.
About or critical of oneself, especially humorously so.
I'm not an idiot. Oh my God. I said it the first time
because you stumbled into it, but
I said it the first time knowing that it was wrong. But it wasn't. Maybe I am an idiot because I thought it was wrong. Anyway, I would much rather be self-deprecatory than I guess braggy. I would much rather say this is a shitty podcast that goes nowhere for an hour than this is the best podcast ever. Everyone loves it. We have 20 constant downloads per episode. Crazy. Am I right?
Is that crazy?
No, that's actually on the low side.
Kind of sounds sad to me.
It makes me cry. But no. Okay, let's stop talking about this shit.
That's the intro to the intro.
That's the intro to the intro. Today.
Now we're into the intro.
Today, the introduction is going to be about... I don't know. That's why I went on so long about
very short notice.
What's going on in your life, Sam?
Don't do this to me.
No, come on, tell me.
I go to school.
Yeah?
I
got this.
I play a lot of World of Warcraft.
How's that going?
Not it's good. I'm a little gnome man.
You've made so many characters already.
I know. Well, that's my highest one, and that's the one I've been sticking with.
Okay. Okay. I played for about 3 days and was like, "This ain't for me, Chief. That ain't it.
It ain't right.
I'm about to head out."
Oh, that won't be dated.
Yeah, I was listening to a previous episode and we
Did we make
talked
a meme
about,
reference?
huh?
Did we make a meme reference?
Well, we talked about the Area 51 raid, and I was like, why did we have to date this episode? It's just it shows, because it was only like 3-4 episodes ago, and it shows how fast everything happens, and it shows just how quick everything goes on in this crazy
Yeah. See, if you
big
just
blue
make fun of
marble.
yourself, that's timeless.
Yeah, that's why we're very self-deprecatory.
There you go.
There you go.
Got it.
Yeah, I played about 3 days of World of Warcraft, and I've been on a Minecraft kick recently.
Minecraft's fun.
Minecraft is fun. Minecraft is for everyone. Um, Playing on hardcore. For those of you who don't know, I'm pretty sure everyone does, but for those who don't, Minecraft is a survival game. And hardcore mode in Minecraft is you only get one life, and that's the only kick. It's on the hardest difficulty. So I've been playing that. Right before we started recording today, I walked out of my house in Minecraft, and a creeper walked up and exploded right behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And took me down to 1 heart. I almost shit my pants.
Well, don't do that. Don't.
Don't actually defecate just because of a video game.
We have very self-defecatory.
Self-defecate. I have a very self-defecating sense of humor.
That'd be a great faux pas.
That's real funny. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it
Shut
because
up.
I don't know where this is going.
Okay, yeah. What are we talking about today?
We're gonna talk about some. I've got 4 different websites up. And they all have to do with historical misconceptions. And they all have like different titles. So the first one is 12 common. Then there's just 12 common historical misconceptions. Then there's just 10 historical misconceptions. Then there's 25 popular.
Okay, hold on. So, how do you have a popular misconception?
I don't know.
Like,
That's
I get
why
common.
That's why I was common, and then
So if
and
you
then
guys
the last one is historical misconception you probably believe. So that one's very accusatory. That one's like,
Yeah,
hey,
that's very-
you fucking idiot, these aren't
you
real.
sheeple,
Listen,
wake up.
wake up, sheeple.
So
yeah.
what's the like gradient? What's like the most passable one for you to like? Okay, are the ones in the just plain old historical misconceptions? Are those like the higher up ones? From common and popular
so
and...
for a lot of these, since like there are a lot of overlapping misconceptions, that's why I got like 4 different websites, so we could
like
make
the Easter Bunny is real.
I don't think that's historical. Would that be historical?
I don't know.
Is that just a misconception among children?
Is the definition of historical a misconception?
It's just a societal construction, man.
It's just a construct, man. Nothing's really real.
Me and Sam are on college campuses now, so we're gonna become hippies. But I mean, some of them I've definitely heard of, and then there are other ones where you're like, okay, come on, like really, yeah, we get it. it's like, oh, it didn't actually happen like this, but it basically did. There's just like one minor detail that's off, and they're like, oh, this
His
is.
hat was slightly tilted to the left.
Yeah, some
not
of
the
them
right.
some of them kind of have that kind of energy to them. So.
Are any of these articles very snarky about it?
I didn't. I just kind of looked at like the. I didn't
Okay,
look at the
well, here.
descriptions. I just kind of looked at what the misconceptions were. So, we're starting off, and like I said, some of these kind of overlap. So some of these lists might not. I'm not gonna address the ones that
Okay.
are.
You'll
that
skip
are,
over repeats.
Yeah.
Great news.
So we're starting off on BuzzFeed. Which is a great place to start, especially for lists.
Of course, it always is.
Great place for lists.
Whenever you're in a pickle, start with BuzzFeed.
Start with BuzzFeed. You
That's
need
our
a dumb
very good advice.
you need a dumb clickbaity list and or quiz. Go to BuzzFeed. So we're gonna start with this one. Number 1. This is one that I knew about. The pyramids of Giza were built by slaves. So this is a big misconception. People believe that the pyramids were built by slave workers, enslaved people. In reality, the people who built the pyramids were workers. They were paid, and they were actually held pretty highly in the community. Like they are also buried. I think aren't the two like teeny tiny pyramids, like aren't those dedicated to the workers? Do you know?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Sam's an idiot.
Well, it's the last episode then.
Sorry everyone. But no. Basically, they were paid workers who were respected in the community. They weren't slaves. So next time, someone. And here's the weird thing is that these misconceptions are taught in history. Like history classes, you learn about these things. Like I was taught that they were built by slaves and they weren't. And there are other things that you like learn in history class and you're just like, and then looking back on it, you're like, damn, the school system sucks if these misconceptions are getting by this easily.
Maybe BuzzFeed's wrong.
No, this is one of them that is addressed over many articles.
Okay.
So I can believe this one. The next one we're going to go to, and this is one that I was not familiar with. Emperor Nero of the Roman Empire played the fiddle while he watched Rome burn. Had you heard about this one?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know that it was fake? Fake news?
Fake. That's fake news?
He didn't do that. He didn't play the fiddle.
Well, I would imagine it's like not that didn't happen. Like, is it that's just like a thing they said? Like, oh, he just sat around and did nothing, sort of thing.
Well, the misconception is that people believe that he started the fire and then climbed on top of a tower and then played the fiddle. In reality, he was about 30 miles away when the fire broke out at his village at his villa in Antium. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of known as like a mad emperor. Like he's like a bad dude. But he was actually kind of a good guy. He rushed back as soon as he heard about it and organized relief efforts, helping the homeless and putting up money to rebuild and having a large part in the reconstruction efforts. So, also, BuzzFeed also points out that it would have been impossible for Nero to have played the fiddle as it did not exist at the time.
Interesting.
I like how I would love this if this were true. Just to have like because a comparison that I draw to is like having the US president just setting a fire in the White House and then just going out to the White House lawn and like playing the banjo or something. Just as he watches the White House burn. Or any such thing. Or like Queen Elizabeth lighting Buckingham Palace on fire and then like playing the drums. I just love the idea of any modern leader doing something like that. So this one is interesting. People during the Middle Ages had a low life expectancy. So the misconception here is that people believe that in the Middle Ages, like, your life was supposed to end like at 30 or 40. Like it says people believe that most people died of old age in their 30s and 40s. The reason life expectancy was so low was because the infant mortality rate was high. So when you had a lot of babies who weren't making it out of childbirth, that significantly drops down the life expectancy.
Well, yeah.
So it says that most people actually lived well into their 60s.
This article feels very elitist. I don't know why. It just bothers me.
What do you mean?
Most people don't know these things, but
most
I do. 'Cause
people.
I'm BuzzFeed, and I looked it all up before I wrote this article.
I went to history.com or Wikipedia. That's their sources.
I didn't know any of these things before it either.
I get what you're saying. I just think it's interesting. I mean, I'm not taking in social structure right now. I'm just taking in the facts, Sam.
I'm just saying.
Would you like me to move on?
No. I'm just saying that.
I'm kidding. I'm acting elitist to annoy you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next one is the Vikings wore horns on their helmets. They actually did not.
I knew that one.
They did not do that. See, here's the thing.
Which Vikings are we talking about?
Like, what do you mean?
Are we talking about Minnesota? They definitely do.
Well, the players don't.
Well, yeah, but the fans do.
Yeah. I mean, but the fans aren't the Vikings.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. So, both of them, actually. None of them. I mean, there is one Viking that does have horns on their helmet, and that is the Viking that is the mascot for the Minnesota Vikings.
Exactly.
Apparently, there is no evidence that Vikings did wear helmets at all. That Vikings wore horns on their helmets.
There's no evidence that Vikings couldn't fly.
See, that's what a lot of these misconceptions remind me of. Is just basically like someone saying, I mean, they couldn't.
So fucking long ago that nobody can figure out what the hell happened.
Do you know that cavemen actually were 12 feet tall? No, that's actually
30-foot vertical leap.
Yeah. Cavemen could unhinge their jaws like snakes.
Eat entire buffaloes.
Can't prove me wrong. The reason that we think of Vikings with horns on their helmet is from an 1876 production of the opera it's
You don't have to say it. It's okay.
It's a language. I think it might be German. So I should at least know how to pronounce it. But
it's okay.
I'm not even gonna try.
But why the hell did they put horns on the Vikings helmets?
Apparently,
why'd they do it?
Apparently, the costume designer Carl Emil Doppler just did it because he wanted to.
Okay.
It says he created horned helmets for the Viking characters for use in the production.
They look cool. The real Vikings should have done it.
Yeah,
I get that it's like bad for like combat because they could like grab it. It's basically handles on your head.
Something that I used to play football. Something that I learned in football is that wherever the head goes, the body will follow. So if you can like
Grab that face mask.
Grab that face, like, not, you can't actually, that's
I know
a
you're not
penalty.
supposed to, but
Yeah, if, like,
I'm sure it's
like,
happened.
oh, yeah. Our coaches would demonstrate by grabbing our face masks. Grabbing our face masks and, like, pulling our head and demonstrating that our body, giving us whiplash and demonstrating that our bodies would fucking go wherever the hell they decided to drag our little heads. So yeah, I can understand that tactically horns on a helmet is not a good idea. Here's a good one. Marco Polo introduced pasta to Italy. This is actually one that I've never heard of. I did not know that people believed Marco Polo brought pasta to Italy. Sometimes I forget that Marco Polo was an actual real person and not a pool game. So
why the hell is the pool game that? Did he get lost at any point?
Did he get lost and someone said Marco and he goes, Polo.
Polo, it's me.
It is me, Marco Polo. I can speak English.
Is that a misconception?
That he, what was he Italian? Who knows? Too long ago to believe, to prove.
So bringing spaghetti back to...
Well, pasta specifically. Spaghetti. Hello, it's me, Marco Polo. Is that racist?
I don't know.
I'm sorry to all the Italians listening.
You could ask BuzzFeed.
Yeah, well, they'll probably say it is. So the story goes that Marco Polo brought back pasta from his travels to China. But now most historians agree that the Arabs introduced pasta to Italy in the late 7th century during their conquest of Sicily. This was almost 600 years before Marco Polo was born. Oof. Got him. Yeah, I never heard of that one. I didn't really know, like, I mean, I've already said that I forget from time to time that Marco Polo is a real person.
Yeah.
I don't really know what he contributed to the kind of exploration age.
He went out to China and then he came back is all I pretty much know.
And he's like, yo, what up? It's me, Mark. He shortened it to Mark. Yeah, he was the original Marky Mark in the Funky Bunch. The next one.
I got pasta.
I brought back pasta. Linguine. The next one is another explorer. Christopher Columbus proved that the Earth was round. I've heard this one.
That was wrong.
I've heard this one a couple of times. I was never taught this though.
I saw it on like Bugs Bunny cartoons and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just remember hearing it and being like, no, no.
No, there's a guy, I forget his name, but he proved it was round like back in ancient Greek times.
Yeah.
By sticking sticks in the ground and measuring the shadow.
Yeah.
So that it showed that it was round.
And they knew that the Earth was round thousands of years ago. But for some reason, people doubt it now. People think that it's a thousands of year old conspiracy that the governments have been putting on forever. Educating.
I'm curious about this. What is like the reasoning?
Because you can't trust the government, man.
No.
Oh.
Why would the government lie to us about that?
For thousands of years. Yeah, I just don't understand, what's the
goal?
point?
I get, like, hiding aliens, mass hysteria, maybe. But,
what? If I were to tell... I just want to gauge your reaction. Just imagine this for a second, Sam.
Okay.
I am the government.
Okay.
I'm not Trace. You're watching TV... Breaking news. Yeah. Hello, American citizens. It is me, the government. The one singular person.
Yes,
the government.
I'm familiar.
Just wanted to tell you, big oopsie daisy, we forgot to let everyone know that the Earth is round. Or that the Earth is not round. The
Now I'm
Earth
confused, Mr. Government. Which
well,
is it?
the Earth is actually flat. I'm glad we can have this dialogue
what? I
through your
wouldn't believe
TV
him.
set. Yeah, well, here's the first thing. I wouldn't believe it. Second thing, I would be like, okay, it doesn't have any effect on my
I
life.
guess that's true.
Like, I'm not gonna, like, explode because the Earth is flat or anything like that. It's I don't know. I don't understand the point either. That's my
It's
biggest
like-
problem with all the conspiracy theories
their
is like,
thing
what's the
where
point?
It's like, is it just like the airline thing? Because that certainly isn't enough to. Because that's recent, right?
What do you mean?
Like, isn't like the thing like they say, they can like do something with the flying or something? I don't know, man.
It's so funny because there's a recent documentary where flat earthers tried to prove that the Earth was flat, and all of the tests that they did proved that it was round. And here's the thing: even when they proved themselves wrong, they're like, there's something wrong with these tests. This evidence is not conclusive yet. It's dumb. People have known that the Earth has been round for years, or for thousands of years.
Yeah.
People are idiots. If you know a flat earther, or if you are a flat earther, you're dumb, or they are dumb if you know them. And that's all there is to it.
That's all there is to it.
That's all there is to it. They're an idiot. Pilgrims wore all black, and their hats had a buckle on them.
I mean, they clearly did.
They did. This one's just wrong. They did do that.
I mean, they did.
They did.
And they ate turkey.
All the time that I draw a pilgrim, I draw a buckle on their hat. And big puffy white collars, and they're all in black.
Exactly. So what the hell did they wear then?
Their fashion was actually
they wore sequin.
Yeah, it's basically the
disco
exact
party all day long.
It's the exact same like outfit. They did have buckles on their hats, but instead of all black, like just cloth, it was black sequin, and that's the difference. Apparently, their fashion was actually based on the late Elizabethan era. They wore bright and solid colors: reds, greens, yellows, and purples. They also didn't wear buckles on their hats, called capons, shoes, or waists. The images we associate with pilgrims was actually created in the 19th century when buckles became a kind of emblem of quaintness. Who the fuck sees a buckle and is like, that's quaint. That's quaint,
dude. I know I do. I'm like, dude, that buckle is so quaint.
That's so quaint.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, honestly, that one.
Pilgrims wore buckles. Fuck off.
No, they didn't. They didn't. Apparently, they didn't wear them at all.
Though?
Yeah,
that's change.
It changes our idea of what a pilgrim is.
I know. My entire paradigm about pilgrims has now changed now that I think of them not wearing buckles on their hats.
Okay, the next one is about the Salem Witch Trials. This one is very specific to the Salem Witch Trials. I know that there are witch trials. I know witch trials became popular kind of all over.
It's kind of a meme.
It became the new meme. But the Salem Witch Trials never actually led to people being burned at the stake. The Salem Witch Trials of 1690... I almost said 1962. Nope, 1692. Led to the arrest of 150 men and women, of whom 31 were tried, and 20 of the 31 were sentenced to death. So 130 people were just arrested. Or wait, no.
Okay, can I ask a question?
I'm bad at math. Yeah.
What kind of bright person arrests a witch?
Yeah, here's the thing.
How do you get the arresting officer to go do that? They're like, okay, you have to go arrest.
Hey, you see that? You see that person with magical powers that could kill you with their mind? Go try to slap some handcuffs on them.
Go get him.
Go get him.
Slaps him on the tuchus.
Go get him.
Gone. Get.
Get.
Get 'em.
I'm not a horse. Stop slapping
Get.
my ass and telling me to get.
Get.
While 20 people were executed, none of them were burned at the stake. 19 of the victims were hanged, and one was crushed to death.
Yeah, I knew that one.
Under heavy stones. Apparently, I remember hearing about this dude, and apparently he was a fucking badass.
Yeah, he's like more.
He was like 60 years old. They put rocks on him, and they were like, "It will tell us you're a fucking witch, or we're gonna kill you." And he's like, "More weight, please." He apparently sat under these like rocks for like 3 days before he died.
That's crazy.
And never once was he like, "I'm a witch." What a guy. What a man.
What a guy.
Here's a fun one. Napoleon Bonaparte was unusually short.
I knew that he isn't.
I mean, he is definitely shorter than both of us, but he's not like tiny.
He's not like 4'2" or something.
He's not 2 feet tall. Napoleon's.
It's a lot funner to draw him like that, though.
It is. It's really funny to see him as like a 1 foot tall man
on a horse.
Napoleon's official height was 5'7", which is actually above the average height for his time period. So he was tall. The reason of this confusion of this whole idea comes from like the saying that history is written by the victors, because Napoleon Bonaparte was such just kind of a bad dude. Everyone was like, "Fuck this dude."
Yeah, he's short.
Yeah, fuck this dude. We have like a I don't know. It's not a mental disorder, but we have like this saying based on a Napoleon complex, which is when short people overcompensate with horrible personalities because they're short. And he was tall. He was above average height.
Deal with it.
The reason of his height stems from the difference in measuring systems between Britain and France, actually. French inches were long. What? French inches were longer than Britain's inches?
Gotta switch to French.
His French height was recorded at 5'2". However, Britain never adjusted, so they just drew him. But here's the thing: we didn't just draw him 5 inches shorter. We drew him like 3 feet shorter.
I think it just kept building on itself over the years. Then maybe they drew him 5'2", like back in the day, and they were like, "Hey, he looks kind of short. What if we just like exaggerated a little?"
What if we exaggerated to make him a toddler? Meme? Yeah, and now he's smaller than any human could physically be. He's half an inch tall now. The next one, we're gonna go ahead and move on. We went from one French figure to, I guess, another. She's actually Austrian, but she was the Queen of France, Marie Antoinette. Apparently, she never said, "Let them eat cake."
Who cares? That's such a good line.
Who cares? It is a very good line. It comes from.
And then she died.
Yeah, and then she got her fucking head chopped off. The quote is commonly attributed to her. However, it was actually from philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau. His autobiography, Confessions. These are my confessions. Sorry.
Copyright.
In which he recalls a story he once heard of a great princess who, when told that the peasants had no bread, replied, "Let them eat the brioche." Doesn't have the same kick.
Brioche bun?
Like a brioche bun from Wendy's? A signature brioche bun with a square meat. I'm trying to coax
meat patty,
a square delicious meat patty and lettuce,
crispy lettuce, juicy pickles,
vibrant tomatoes,
vibrating tomatoes. What if you got a burger and the tomatoes were vibrating?
I would be terrified. I would never get a burger with tomatoes, first of all. I absolutely hate tomatoes. But if any of my ingredients on a burger were vibrating, I would be... Terrified.
I'd be
Anyway.
concerned. Anyways.
Let them eat brioche does not have the same kick. I don't care who said it. Let them eat cake is just such a bad bitch line. Like, I'm a bad bitch. Let them bitches eat cake, bruh. It's a very good line. It was unlikely that Rousseau could be writing about Marie Antoinette, as she was only 10 years old when he wrote his autobiography. The next
maybe
one.
she said it too.
Maybe she did. Maybe
she read his book and was like, you know what? I'm gonna do.
I'm not a fan of brioche.
I'm gonna cut the brioche.
Not a fan of brioche, but I love me some cake. And when they're like, Marie, your peasants are starving. She's like, what if she was like baking and she made like 60 cakes and they were huge,
like,
and they're like,
cake.
they were like, Marie, your peasants are at the gate. They are starving, and she's like, well, I made all these
to this giant pile of cakes.
Let them eat cake. And there was one person, a spy, who overheard it, didn't see the gesture, and was like, this bitch. And then they killed her. Right then and there.
They wheeled it in.
They wheeled in the guillotine. Okay, the next one. Yes. Vincent van Gogh sliced off his ear.
Did he not do that? I thought he did.
I was very confused when I saw this one as well. Apparently, and this is one of the ones where I was
mail it to his girlfriend or something.
So the misconception is, in 1888, Dutch painter Vincent van Gogh, suffering from severe depression, cut off his left ear with a razor, wrapped it in a newspaper, and then handed it to a prostitute named Rachel. The misconception is people believe he cut off his entire ear, when in reality it was just a portion of his earlobe. This was one of the ones I was talking about where it was like, yeah,
he cut his ear off.
Who cares? Yeah. But apparently everything else is true.
If you cut off your earlobe and give it to a prostitute, you deserve to have people later down the line think you cut your whole ear off.
This dude was fucking crazy. Vincent van Gogh was nuts, and I mean that in the coolest. I mean, he was severely depressed, and I feel horrible for him. He was an artist lost in his time, but he like has a badass life. Cuts off his ear, gives it to a prostitute. I think he like tried to shoot himself, and then he jumps out of a window. All of this while making all of this while making terrific art.
I was trying to make a joke, and now I just feel bad.
I don't know. I could have missed a lot of those. Mrs. O'Leary's cow kicking over a lantern started the Great Chicago Fire.
Who?
Didn't. You know, Mrs. O'Leary, famous historical figure.
You know.
The Great Chicago Fire of the 1800s. It doesn't have a specific date.
Oh, BuzzFeed's slipping on us.
Well, it says in 1893 the guy who wrote the story admitted that he made it up. It's always great when a credited reporter is like, "Yeah, I made it up.
Yeah, I made that up.
I lied."
Maybe the government made him lie.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, that Great Chicago Fire that was still
we caused." Say it was Mrs. O'Leary.
Apparently, so the misconception goes is Miss O'Leary was milking her cow at night, I guess, and had a lantern by
and the cow was not used to that, so it got a little antsy and kicked the lantern over.
Kicked the lantern, started a barn fire, and then that totally caught the entire city on fire. Apparently, it did start in her barn, Mrs. O'Leary, but she said that her entire family was asleep in the house when the fire started. And
How did the fire start then?
I guess no one knows. Maybe a lantern did fall, or
maybe a cow kicked a lantern over.
She wasn't milking the cow.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Dude.
I never heard of that. Honestly, I don't even know what the fuck the Great Chicago Fire was until I saw this article.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. That's all of BuzzFeed. Let's move on.
Okay.
Ben Franklin discovered electricity.
I did not.
Yeah.
Wasn't it that he discovered that lightning is electricity?
Yeah, that's
Something
the
like
truth. It would be very weird if no one knew what electricity was at this point.
And then he puts a key on a kite and it gets struck by lightning and he's like, electricity.
Which he did put a
I
key on a
figured
kite.
it out.
So a lot of it is true. He did put a key on a kite, and he was doing it for scientific reasons around the idea of electricity. But it was never struck by lightning, and and like you said, he was just trying to figure out if lightning was electricity. So yeah. I mean, there is some truth to it, but he did not discover electricity. It wasn't like a mystery for years and years until Ben Franklin came along.
Yeah.
Which I did see a picture, because this is another one that is talked about on some of these websites. A picture, like a drawing of Ben Franklin, like...
Is it like a stick figure?
Well, no, it's this beautiful painting of him, and then there are like cherubs helping hold the kite, and he's sitting there. It's beautiful. It is like the most badass painting I've ever seen of Ben Franklin. Sorry, this website's taking a second to load. We're trying to move on to the next one.
Stupid websites.
Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one because I think a lot of people do actually believe it. The Great Wall of China is visible from the moon.
Yeah, I didn't believe that.
Yeah, I didn't either. Maybe when I was like 7. Got him.
Don't be mean.
Got him. It's not. It's not. Relatively, though the Great Wall of China is long, relatively it is not wide. There are a lot more... A typical Home Depot parking lot is wider than the Great Wall of China. So it would be more apt to be able to see one of those from space than the Great Wall of China.
Or maybe like... I don't want to do a Yo Mama joke, but there was a really good one there.
Maybe
Yo Mama.
Yo Mama. You did set up and execute the joke, even though you were...
I just don't want to insult you.
You don't want to insult my mama? Insult? Inset. What did I say?
I don't know.
I'm not even tired. What's going on?
Anyway, Great Wall of China ain't that wide.
Great Wall of China ain't that wide. The Pentagon's even wider. You would be able to see the Pentagon. What the meat cake? Yeah. We already talked about that. Yeah, we already talked about witches in Salem. God, I should have. Abner Doubleday invented baseball.
Huh?
You know, famous historical man Abner Doubleday. He's the man.
Wish he had. What a fun name.
That is a very fun name, Abner Doubleday. He's credited as inventing baseball as a youngster in Cooperstown, New York. Apparently, he drew a diamond-shaped diagram for a game he called Town Ball. It's a great story and all, but it's a myth, especially considering that Doubleday was attending West Point Academy, the supposed time that he created it, and also he was not really a big fan of baseball, the sport he supposedly created. So yeah, if you believe that Abner Doubleday created baseball, you're an idiot.
Did then?
I don't. It doesn't say. It doesn't.
What the hell?
Yeah.
It's like, here's the misconception, but we're not going to tell you the right answer. You're just going to be confused.
Let's look it up on Google. Who invented
baseball? What if it came up Abner Doubleday?
That's what I'm scared of. I'm terrified. Base. I'm having the hell of a time right now. Who invented baseball? Oh my God.
Abner Doubleday?
Yeah.
What?
Who invented baseball?
Did he do it?
Did he?
Oh my God, I'm so confused now.
I'm so confused. You may have heard that a young man named Abner, son of a bitch, Abner Doubleday, invented the game known as baseball in Cooperstown, New York during the summer of 1839.
Yeah, we know all this.
Doubleday went on to become Civil War hero while baseball became America's beloved national pastime. Not only is that story untrue, then why did it pop up the first thing it says when you look up who invented baseball is Abner Doubleday. And then it goes on to say...
Well, no wonder this stupid misconception exists. It's Google's fault.
It literally goes on to say, not only is that untrue, it is not even in the ballpark.
I hate the internet.
Apparently that variations of baseball... I mean, cricket is a big variation of baseball, so there's one. However long cricket's been around, and variations of baseball were happening as early as the American Revolution.
Who made baseball?
We don't know.
What? God.
Oh, in 1845, a group of New York City men founded the New York Knickerbocker Baseball Club.
Excuse me?
Knickerbocker Baseball Club.
Something doesn't sound right about that.
Okay, so one of them, volunteer firefighter and bank clerk Alexander Joy Cartwright, would codify a new set of rules that would form the basis of modern baseball. There, he invented baseball as we know it. Calling for a diamond-shaped infield, foul lines, and a 3-strike rule.
Okay, so he did it. Why is Abner Doubleday?
He also abolished the dangerous practice of tagging runners by throwing the balls at them.
Damn it, I wish he hadn't done that.
Alexander Joy Cartwright invented baseball as we know it. There it is. Fuck there Abner Dumbledore.
Double Dutch.
We're almost at time, so let me find one more.
Okay.
Okay. We'll talk about this one and then another big one. Most men in the colonial area, I guess, wore wigs. Apparently, they didn't. Fuck wigs. Only about 5% of the population wore wigs. Though wigs and powdered hair were at fashion, or were in fashion at the time. Wigs were expensive.
But hold on. Who wore them?
Wigs were expensive and were mainly worn by lawyers, statesmen, and women of the gentry class.
Hey, so who gets paintings made of themselves?
Lawyers, statesmen, and women of the gentry class.
That's why we think it.
Yeah.
So,
but it's I understand why we think
no shit. There's not a farmer working out in a field wearing a powdered wig.
Though I totally get why we think that, but it is commonplace for people to think, oh, everyone had wigs and powdered hair. But it's just not true.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about George Washington, because George Washington never fucking cut down a cherry tree. I always hate hearing this one. Never in his life. No, you know the fucking story.
He wrote in his autobiography at the end of his life, I have never cut down a cherry tree. I've cut down a lot of different trees.
He's old. He's on his deathbed. They're doing the bloodletting to try to, fix him. And in reality, that's killing him even more. And he's like, let it be known, I have never, ever in my life cut down a cherry tree.
I would never do something like that.
To do so would be fucking stupid. And then
I've heard that he hadn't.
Well, people do believe it, and I just don't understand. Like.
But here's the thing: what's it matter if people think he cut down a cherry tree?
Because it's supposed to like prove his character, and that he would. I mean,
there's a lot of other things that prove his character. What's it matter?
I have never. Father, I will never tell a lie. I cut down your cherry tree. It's like basically being like, someone fucking murdered my cat. Who did it? And little Georgie Washington comes in and he's like, I have never told a lie in my life. I fucking murdered your cat.
Okay, it's a little different.
No, it's not.
A tree is not the same as a cat.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Oh. I always get those two things mixed up.
All these apple cats out in the field.
It's just, I don't understand, like, it's just dumb. That's the part that I don't understand about that story is I'm just like, why does, like...
I mean, that's probably why it exists, because it doesn't matter.
Because it's dumb. Okay. Anyway, I'm getting bored. No, I'm kidding.
Shit.
No, I just yawn. Anyway, let us continue. Let us pray. Let us continue by kicking it over to Sam.
What happened today in history?
We've talked about history a lot today. Tell us what happened.
But we're going to talk about it a little bit more. Because in 1906, Douglas Mawson, Edgeworth David, and Alastair Mackay claimed to have discovered the magnetic South Pole in Antarctica.
They claimed?
They claimed. They're like, I'm pretty sure we found it.
Yeah, we totally... It's like me saying, like, yeah, it was me.
It's like it was... They, like, got off their boat in Antarctica, and they're like, it's really cold here. Can we just, like, say we found it?
Yeah, it's here.
Who's gonna come prove it?
It's here, guys. It's here. It's like...
We know it's here.
What if that's a misconception?
It's down here somewhere.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's great. In all honesty, that is a misconception. Those three guys that you named were actually, like, they were known for being the guys who, like, say a joke louder and then they get credited as saying the joke and everyone thinks they're the funny ones. But then they were like, oh, let's start doing that with, like, important scientific discoveries. So they would just kind of follow a bunch of these, like, science nerds around and waiting for them to discover something. And then when the science nerd was like, actually, and then they would go, yeah. Actually, and they would say it louder.
I just imagine they're dressed like total bros.
They were bros. Like, they were the first Chads. Just going and claiming all of these scientific discoveries.
I don't know if that's true.
I think it is. I mean, it's a misconception one way or another.
Here's the truth. It was actually... His name was actually Edgelord David instead of Edgeworth.
Oh. He was an edgelord. He was edgy.
Yeah. He
was the type who would make Holocaust jokes, even though... Wait, when did they do this?
1906, before they were cool.
Before... He was like, Holocaust joke, and people were like, what is that?
What are you about?
What is that joke?
And then, like 30 years later, they were like, oh, no, what?
That's fucked up.
The future?
That's messed up. It's
thing.
kind of funny, but it's really messed up.
This guy's name is Edgeworth David. It sounds like they got his stuff backwards.
Like they forgot to put the comma when they put the name backwards, so they're like, oh.
His name must be Edgeworth.
His name
should be David Edgeworth?
Yeah.
That sounds like a real name.
Yeah, that sounds like an actual human name. That is crazy. I love his name. Edgeworth.
I do too. And the other one was Douglas Mawson and Alastair Mackay.
Alastair Mackay. Sounds like a Lord of the Rings character. Frodo. We have to go see Alastair Mackay.
What's that voice? Who's speaking to Frodo?
Keep going. Keep going.
It's
before I embarrass myself.
Holiday.
Today. There is a holiday.
Today is September 16th.
Correct.
Also known as National Stay Away from Seattle Day.
What?
National Stay Away from Seattle Day.
That's... Why?
Created by Thomas Roy, Stay Away from Seattle Day is observed worldwide except in Seattle to give America's best place to live city a break from influx of people moving to into the area. What?
Who gets to decide that that's the best place to live?
How to observe it? I love the way it's written. Today's easy.
It's
an easy one.
It is.
All you need to do to celebrate is to stay away from Seattle.
Here's the thing. There's
Perhaps
like
you
someone...
could use the day to plan a trip to the city in the not too distant future.
Here's the thing. There is someone who is listening to this podcast, and I doubt it's today. It's going to be like a year or two into the future. They are listening to it. It's the September the 16th is coming up, and they're like, oh, I have a business trip to Seattle on that day.
Can't go. There's like a dome.
And then no, and then they're like, oh, it's nothing. It's just a silly holiday. They are not from Seattle. They show up into Seattle and then they burn to a crisp. They melt like the Nazis in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No, it's like there's on that day a force field comes out, and that's what the Space Needle is. It comes out of the top
starts.
Of it, and it makes this bubble.
It's like you know how in superhero movies the trope is like there's a big blue laser that shoots into the sky.
Laser. It's like that coming out.
It's like that of the Space Needle. And then there's just like the dome from the Simpsons movie, just around Seattle. That would be great. Seattle, get on top of that. Then I might actually want to visit your city.
Can you hurry up and make a force field?
Hurry up!
That's
Come on,
generated
guys.
by the Space Needle.
Come on, guys. It's not.
Come on. It's
not
not
that
rocket science.
Get all your Seattle.
It's force field science.
Get all your Seattle nerds up on that and get them to get there and work on it. Bunch of nerds in Seattle.
Anyways.
Anyway, yeah, that's been from my perspective. Talked about a lot of fun stuff. Hopefully, we educated you some this episode. If not, then sorry. We have failed you.
We failed you.
But maybe we won't fail you every episode. So go ahead and give the old episodes a listen, or wait for the new episodes to come out. And you can find those episodes on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, and YouTube.
Share it with your friends.
Do it. Especially if someone's like, oh, I've been listening to a podcast, and you get the ball rolling for them, you say, oh, well, you like podcasts? Well, I have a podcast that I listen to, and it's very funny. There is an emergency happening at my school. Lots of emergency vehicles driving by. It startled me.
I was like, are you going to have to go? Do I have to finish the outro?
I've been scared, and then I'll get back into the outro. I've been scared that at any moment there is going to be like a fire drill or something while I'm recording. And I'm going to be like, well, shit, I'm going to have to like carry my computer out to the drive.
I would hope you would carry it out and you'd still be recording during it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
back to the outro.
Yeah, share it with your friends. Let them know, especially if they're looking for podcast recommendations. Leave us a review or a rating, good, bad, or otherwise. We'd love to hear from you. So, I mean, if it's good, it lets us know that we're on the right track. If it's bad, it'll help us fix things. So, yeah, just let us know. Subscribe to us on those places or follow us. If you would like to hear more from us, we have social media accounts, and you can find us at FOP_pod on Instagram and Twitter. You can find us at From Our Perspective on YouTube and Facebook. And all those places we post teasers and notifications, stuff like that, updates, things, just to let you know how things are going. Other than that, we post the podcast every Monday. And we will see you next Monday. I've been Trace.
And I've been Sam.
Goodbye.
Toodaloo.